No one had ever tried to build a community foundation in a place as rural as Montana. The question was, how could you possibly unite the diverse communities of this vast state to support a kind of organization that was completely new to Montana? What would it take to get the ball rolling? The board decided to address the problems of their state head on. They created 9 regions, each with its own group of regional representatives, with the understanding that local people would best know the interests and needs of their own communities. New board members would be elected from the regions. The regional committees themselves would help get out the word about the new statewide foundation, identify prospective donors, and eventually assist in making grants to worthy organizations in their areas of the state. With the structure now in place, the challenge of the new foundation was to begin raising substantial dollars to create its endowment. Help was soon on the way. The Community Foundation received a pair of challenge grants from 2 of the most important private foundations in the country. The McKnight and the Northwest Area Foundations, both of Minnesota, pledged a combined total of $2 million to the permanent endowment of the Montana Community Foundation. But the money came with a caveat. The Community Foundation would have to raise $3 million on its own in order to receive the $2 million from the 2 private foundations. If this challenge was met, the new Montana Foundation would quickly reach its initial goal of $5 million.
The real challenge for us was to figure out how in the world we're going to meet the requirements of the matching grants. We only had 2 years to raise $3 million, so we really had to scramble to meet those requirements.
Once again, the key word was innovation. The Community Foundation Board came up with a unique idea to meet the requirements of the 2 matching grants and at the same time initiate its own grant-making efforts. It created a new program to encourage other nonprofit organizations across Montana to establish permanent endowments with the Montana Community Foundation. Any organization that agreed to create an endowment with the Community Foundation would receive an incentive grant. Each new endowment brought into the foundation would count toward matching the funds provided by the McKnight and Northwest Area Foundations. The money for these incentive grants would come from the interest accrued on the McKnight and Northwest Area funds. Once the incentive grants were made, the principal from the McKnight Northwest Area funds would still remain intact as part of the permanent, unrestricted endowment of the Community Foundation.
We were absolutely amazed at the response. Over 120 organizations joined the Community Foundation, and that meant that we would be paying into their endowments over $360,000. What really astonished us is that most of these endowments were brand new endowments. They didn't exist before the Community Foundation, and it was the incentive grant program that caused them to be created. But now that they exist, the Montana Community Foundation is managing those funds, allowing those funds to grow, and at the same time providing interest and earnings to those organizations to carry on their nonprofit activities.
In March of 1991, well ahead of schedule, MCF met the requirements of the McKnight Northwest Area matching grants. The Young Foundation now held an endowment of over $5 million. But the management of endowment funds for other organizations is only one important function of the Montana Community Foundation. In 1989, some of the proceeds from the Great Montana Centennial Cattle Drive were given to MCF to create a new Rural Development Fund. The income from this new endowment will be used to enhance the vitality of Montana's rural communities.
Probably the greatest thing about Community Foundation is their versatility. They can be designed to meet the needs of the community that they serve and the needs of the donors that wish to use them for their giving.
Robert Tyrrell spent most of his working life as the manager of the Billings Clinic. He worked hard so that his children, Bob, Janet, and Norma, could go to college. In 1990, his 3 children created the Robert and Lillian Tyrrell Scholarship Fund within the Montana Community Foundation. Originally established to provide a $500 annual scholarship to a high school senior whose parent is employed by the Billings Clinic, the scholarship fund was matched by the clinic partners who wished to honor Robert Tyrrell's many contributions to developing the clinic.
Our parents' highest priority was a college education for each of us kids, so it was very logical that we set up a scholarship fund in their honor. We had no idea how to set it up, but after talking with a few people, it became apparent that the Montana Community Foundation was the perfect vehicle for setting it up. We were pleased to learn that the fund would grow a little bit each year as part of the foundation's pooled investment portfolio. And we were really thrilled when the clinic partners decided to match our fund, because it makes for a pretty significant scholarship each year for the recipient. This is how a community foundation really ought to work. It makes giving easy, and it gives the people of Montana an opportunity to do something really good for the state. It's the sort of thing that you can really feel good about.
Montana may be the last of the big-time splendors, as our state slogan used to boast, but our state has its share of problems and opportunities. The Community Foundation exists to meet emerging needs in Montana, and to do so, the Foundation's board has established 5 areas for innovative grant making: education, the arts, economic vitality, natural resources and conservation, and basic human needs. In order to run these grant-making programs successfully, the Montana Community Foundation must now concentrate on building its permanent, unrestricted endowment, for it's the interest from this endowment that can be used to make grants that will meet emerging needs. In June 1992, the McKnight Foundation of Minneapolis announced a second major challenge grant to MCF. This time, the grant award is tied to building up the permanent endowment. McKnight challenges MCF to raise $500,000 in unrestricted funds in order to qualify for an additional $250,000 from the foundation. It won't be easy, but as the foundation has proven before, Montanans are ready to work together for the common good. This has not been an organization that has shied away from new challenges.
In all the years that I've been doing volunteer work, and believe me, it's been a few years, I've never seen such an exciting organization or one that has such potential to do great things for Montana. It's simply a tremendous resource. Like all the things that happen in a place as young as Montana, it will be what we Montanans make of it.
From the golden hills of Montana to the waving fields of grain, to the open